So guys, today we're going to be going over some stuff. So we're doing a video, so pause the video whenever you need extra time and write any questions down so I can answer them on Monday. So here's your 3 warm-ups. If the sub can pause the video, and when you guys are done, play it back. So our first answer is 3a minus 1 squared. This is sum of cubes, right? So 3a minus 1 squared. Our second one down here is 4x minus 3 squared. And our last one is 5m plus 2 and 5m minus 2. Okay. So hopefully you got those. Those are a review of what we were doing the other day. Today we're doing more factoring and polynomials. We're going to go over 2 things today. Remember that factoring a polynomial means expressing it as a product of the other polynomials. So basically what that means, give me a second. Factoring it for the other polynomials, going back to the warm-up, is that these, if we did 3a minus 1 times 3a minus 1 and you did the box method or FOIL, you can multiply it and get this as your answer. So these are all easy to check because you multiply backwards. So that's what it means there. So this is your definition. If you need extra time, pause the video. If not, I'm moving on. So we got a factoring method number 4. This is completely new. This is factoring polynomials that are sums and difference of cubes. So again, this is completely new. You did not do this in Algebra 1. So we've got 2 formulas here. Make sure you write down these formulas and memorize them. This one starts with a plus. I remember it follows with a plus, and then it's a difference, and then it ends in a plus. This one we're doing a difference of cubes, so we got subtraction right away. You notice that these 2 match and these 2 match. These are switched, so they're the opposite of whatever came next, and we always finish with adding. Those are just some things to think about when you're going through. These need to be memorized for the test. So when you're going through, the first thing you have to figure out A and B, and then we're going to plug them into this formula. So things to ask yourself: what is A? What is B? And then we're going to plug that into the formula. Sometimes it's easy to see A and B, and sometimes it's a little more difficult. So here's the first one. First we can rewrite the radicals. So what's A and what's B? A is x and B is 4, because the cube root of this is x and the cube root here is 4. So once we identify A and B, we're going to plug it into the formula. This one's got an addition, so we're using the sum of cubes formula, which is this one. So again, plus plus, we switch it, and we always finish with the adding. From there, we're going to plug in. Anywhere we see A, we're going to write x. Anywhere we see B, we're going to write 4. So this is going to be x plus 4. And then we got x squared minus 4 times x plus 4 squared. And of course, we're not going to leave it as 4 squared. We're actually going to leave it as 16. So once you've plugged it all in and used the product or the multiplication right there and wrote x minus 4 correctly to be 4x, that's our answer, and we're done. So that's the sum of cubes. Try a difference of cubes. Again, first identify A and identify B. A is 2y, because it's the cube root of 8y to the third, and B is 5. So we've got A and B. Then we're going to use the cube root formula. So we got A and B. This is the cube root formula with the minus, plus, and plus. We plugged in our A's and our B's along the whole way. Make sure we rewrite this one, and rewrite this one. Right? So you get 4y squared plus 10y plus 25. Right? So once you plug those back in, that's it. So the biggest part here with the sum and the difference of cubes is make sure that you can memorize the formulas and identify A and B. If you do that, you should be fine. Factoring technique number 5, this is factoring by grouping. So factoring by grouping, this is when there's 4 or more terms. You've done this in Algebra 1, just not very often. So make sure you pay attention because this is review. Okay, so we've got 3 steps here. The first is group the first set of terms and the last set of terms with parentheses. Then we're going to factor out the GCF from each group so that both sets of the parentheses contain the same factors. That's huge. Both sets, after you factor out the GCF, must have the exact same factor. And finally, number 3, factor out the greatest common factor again from the GCF is the factor from step 2. So take a second, write that down. Here's the first one. So we're going to group the first two and the last two. So after we group them, we're going to find the greatest common factor of the first two and the greatest common factor of the second two. So the greatest common factor of the first one is b squared. The greatest common factor of the second one is 4. If these two do not match, you did something incorrectly. These ones have to match. That's the key with grouping. If these don't match, maybe try changing this to a negative or this to a negative, or maybe you have to rearrange the top part in a way to make these match. So now we've got b squared plus 4, right? So this comes to be one of the terms, and this comes to be the other term. Again, you can multiply this to check using the Punnett square the box method, and you will get this as your answer. So a way to double check these. Okay, here's the next one. At the beginning, make sure that you factor out the greatest common factor if at all possible. The greatest common factor we went over yesterday. So there it is. You can take out a 2 in all the terms. Next, we're going to group them into a set and a set. So there we go. So now when we look, we're going to find the greatest common factor of each set. What goes into each of these that is the largest? The first one is x squared goes in the largest, and the second one is negative 4. Understand that we took out a negative 4. 4 does go into both these terms, but if I only took out 4, this would be a negative x and a positive 8, and these two wouldn't match, so that's why I had to take out a negative 4. So lastly, we brought down the x minus 8. We've got the x squared and the negative 4 to be right there. You can notice we put out our greatest common factor from the beginning that's still out there, but you can still simplify right here. X squared minus 4 is really x plus 2 and x minus 2. So this is our fully simplified factoring of the first one, and that would be our answer. So try these on your own. Pause the video and try these 5, and when you're done, unpause the video. Okay, here are the answers to what was just there. The first one was x minus 6 and x plus 1. The second one was 3x minus 4 and x plus 5. Third one, x plus 6, then x squared minus 6x plus 36. Number 4, take out an 8 as the greatest common factor, x minus 1, x squared plus x plus 1. Number 5, you took out a 3x. You got x minus 4 and x plus 2. If you have any questions on these, please note that, and I'll be happy to go over them on Monday. Okay, and then lastly, we've got our homework for tonight. Again, please write down any of the problems. Just to review, factoring with sum and difference of cubes, make sure you identify A and B and write down the formula for each, and you should be fine. And with grouping, make sure that you group each one together, and you should be okay, and pull out those greatest common factors as at the beginning or at the end. Okay, otherwise I'll see you Monday.